Hi, everyone. Welcome back to an episode of StarSeed Insights. I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone's having a beautiful new year as we're, 3 days into the new year. So, on this episode of StarSeed Insights, I'm going to be talking about the year 2020 and what that entails and what's really in store for you, and also just the number 2020, what it means, the power that is attached to it. Of course, I've taken notes on the topic, and I'm just going to go as I've jotted down like the insights that I was gathering as I was sitting on the topic. So, before I started, I just did like a shuffle of the year of 2020 and what it encompasses of. I did that with my tarot cards and the three cards that came out for me, and it's like literally what 2020 and what things have spoken of is the Nine of Wands, the Devil, and the Ten of Cups. So basically, for me, the Nine of Wands is like willing to face darkness. So that it really speaks to the year of 2019 and prior, whatever cycles in life you were in. I know for me, this last 7 years and the last decade especially, it's just really been about identifying myself, identifying self-worth, just healing a great deal of generational traumas, breaking generational curses, just really, especially 2019, it was just like an accelerated crash course for me of like finding inner worth and inner value and identifying traumas and all of those things. And again, if you have not, I invite you to read the About Me section of my channel, and you will have a greater understanding of who I am as a whole and what I have to offer, because breaking generational curses and identifying traumas and healing and overcoming them is an area of specialty for me, as well as being an intuitive channeled medium via tarot cards. So, yes, I invite you to look at the About Me section. And if you have not already, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate your love and support as I continue to build this spiritual community on YouTube. And to spirituality, that's who you are. You are a spirit inside of this body. So it doesn't matter if you're a Christian, whatever religion you subscribe to, you're still a spirit in a body having a spiritual experience within a human body. So spirituality is not something to be taken as a religious term. It's to be taken as who you are outside of any titles, who you are on the inside, who you were created to be before you were placed into this vessel. That's your spirit, what you are, what's inside of the vessel that we call a body. So, yes, I would love and appreciate your support as I continue to build this spiritual community on YouTube. So, going back to my cards, the Nine of Wands. So that is like facing the darkness, and that's when you face the darkness. That it speaks to right now. That is speaking to you facing not necessarily the darkness outside of you, because life. For many of us up until this point, and especially year 2019, life has produced things and allowed things to happen into our life, and it produced a degree of our darkness or contrast into ourselves that ultimately we have to come back and face and identify. This is not what I want. This is what I'll allow. I know I can make this better. I know there's more to this. So it's really identifying the darkness really means going back within and identifying things that of your past that did not serve you. And with identifying those things, you naturally discover new routes and new opportunities are presented to yourself, because when you identify something that does not serve you, you're naturally putting into the ethers, into the universe, or to God, whoever you pray to or whatever you believe in, you're putting the want of that out just by experiencing and identifying, this is not what I want. I do not want to experience this. This was dark for me. This is a cycle that I have to break. And breaking cycles, that is absolutely a degree of inner healing, going in and facing that darkness. So if you think of darkness in terms of internally, inside of our body, it's just darkness. The light is on the outside of us, but inside of us, you're going back within where there's that dark matter, that dark space, and you're going within and addressing everything that did not serve you. So for me, that is the Nine of Wands. And then the Devil card is identifying situations and people that do not serve you in your life purposes. So identifying, let's see, I want to try to keep on track as much as I can. Okay, identifying situations that do not serve you. So it could be a job, it could be yeah, a job or social settings, any situation that you know that you have outgrown, and you naturally know that because your emotions, for one, is a trigger. Your anxiety starts to go up, your moods change, your attitude change. It's just like an imbalance. It's something that you know that you've given more than you've received in situations. It's time to identify those. It could be you're working at a job that you're not fulfilled in anymore. For me, absolutely, working in the nursing field, I did it for 7 years. In the year of 2019, September of 2019, I was done completely, like Benito. I just walked out of the job, and I have not looked back. And that was a very, very important part of my life. That nursing, in the nursing field, that was something that I thought was going to be like my career long term. Like that was just it for me. And unbeknownst to me, once I started doing the inner healing and identifying traumas and just really digging within myself and really reaching for something greater within myself, that's when I realized that the nursing field was actually the beginning level for me to connect with humanity in service and help others. So while I am past it, and in the midst of my transitioning, I want to make this a point as well, because when you're transitioning out of stages, out of situations, it is important. It is very important for you to maintain your humility, maintain your grace over any situation that you were placed in to transition out of. That is very important. And it was very important for me, dealing with human lives and just taking care of nurturing other human beings, to maintain grace, humility, and favor over situations, even though I know that I had spiritually outgrown that field. Like I was past it, but I was still situated in there. So it was very important for me to maintain humility, grace, and favor, and especially as I'm governing over human beings. It's very important in whatever situation you are in life, whether you are a cashier at Family Dollar or you are a doctor or nurse or a lawyer. Whatever that is, it is important for you to maintain grace and humility, whatever level you are in life. And you know that you're phasing out of it, it's just a approach that we should practice just overall, and you will see that it not only applies to situations but just in life in general, to remain gracious and humble, because that's the best approach to have in life and towards human beings and towards yourself. And it's also a guaranteed way to elevate and continue on. It's also a guaranteed way for the universe, the higher source, to present to you the things that you truly desire, because you truly desire them. You have identified things that did not serve you, but you have maintained your grace, humility, and just managed to stay in a higher vibrational space, mental space, energetically. You're maintaining a higher vibration, even though the situation that you're facing, or the people that you may facing, does not serve you and does not truly make you feel fulfilled. But you can still hold on to fulfillment and gratitude and appreciation at any level. There's absolutely, you can find appreciation at any level you are in life. And that is the key to continue to elevate and to receive more and to discover more of yourself, and to just become more just more aware of yourself, more self awareness, and more fulfillment. It is key to remain humble, grateful, appreciative for every aspect of your life, even with the aspect you're like, I can't wait to get the hell out of this. Like, why is this taking so long? Why is this happening? I guarantee you there's still something for you to maintain appreciation about, and that is the very thing that is going to propel you to the next level. So situations I just spoke on, whether what job, what level you are in your career, if you know that it does not serve you anymore, maintain your grace and favor in that situation and allow the universe to elevate you naturally out of it. Because when you were identifying it, but you're still having that same energy, because your emotions are energy, and that's the way in which we communicate and receive through the universe, universal forces, infinite intelligence. We receive and perceive by way of energy receptivity. So when you maintain that heightened frequency, and I'm not saying be perfect, yes, you're human, yes, you're going to dip, yes, you're going to be frustrated, yes, you're going to have questions, yes, you're going to have doubts and fears, especially if you're in a stagnant transition in your life where you feel like things should have moved faster than they already have. That is absolutely it's even more important for you to apply more gratitude and grace and favor in those more trying moments. So as you're elevating out of situations in life, that is important. And then people in your life that do not serve you, moving on to identifying people that do not serve you in your life and your life purpose. For me, especially, a great deal of people that did not serve me, ironically, were the very people that I have known my entire life or known for a great deal of my life. And ultimately, the year 2019, I have made a lot of removals of my life from people who I thought I would have spent the rest of my life with or have friendships and relationships with for the rest of my life. Really, relationships that at one point I kind of based like a level of my survival on. And ironically, they are not in my life. And I had to make those clear, concise. I have to identify the people, I have to identify why they can't be in my life. And I really have to be honest with myself. And that in itself, it takes a degree of self-worth and self-knowing. To identify someone that does not serve you is one thing to know, but to speak it out to that person, that is a whole nother thing. And I promise you, you all can achieve that level of confidence and knowing and courage to cut any and everyone out of your life that does not serve your life purpose. And I'm not saying be mean or nasty or anything like that. Absolutely, this applies to every level in life. Grace, humility, and just favor. Remove people out of your life in a gracious, loving manner. One of the last removals that I had to do out of my life was a family member, and I just had to just send a peaceful message. Like, it's hard there's no easy way to say this, but you are not conducive to my life purpose and my life path. Our journey has not been a healthy one. It's actually been quite toxic. And it wasn't until I did the journey within the 9 of Wands, facing the darkness and doing the inner healing and identifying curses and generational curses and people that did not serve you, just energies that are not conducive to mine. I could not identify that, and I was not able to obtain the level of strength, knowing, and courage until I did the journey to self, until I went within. And because when you go within, you're at such a vulnerable place, and that's going to be a whole nother video, but inner healing is not pretty at all. It is loud, it is nasty, it is ugly, it is lonely, it is cold. It almost seems unbearable, but you can come out of it. And I'm going to do absolutely an authentic video of what inner healing feels like. It's not, oh, I'm just going to stand and look at the rainbows and listen to rain sounds and just go out into nature and things are just naturally going to come together. No, inner healing is you have to identify all the traumas in your life that brought you to this point. And with identifying those things, you're identifying the things that do not serve you. So when you come into the selecting or removing part of your life, what you're going to allow and what you are not allowing, that you're only able to identify that after you've done the journey of self. Because if you haven't really even discovered who you are or what you really want outside of the circumstance and situations that you were born into or that you adapted to by way of survival, you are not identifying your self-worth. So therefore, you're going to continue on any path that is presented to you that is very well not serving to you. But if it's there, you're going to take it because you have not identified that self-worth to know, like, no, this isn't for me. I'm going to pass this situation by. I'm going to pass this relationship by. I'm going to put an end to these cycles in these relationships because I do not serve them. They do not serve me, rather. And you do not know that until you do the journey of self. So absolutely 2019 and prior, for me, all of my life has just been like identifying when I was consciously aware of what I was doing, which was the last 7 years. Consciously aware, like subconsciously enjoying like the law of attraction and all of these things, and healing and trauma, inner breaking curses, all of these things over the journey of the last 7 years for me. Before then, I would just like stumble into situations, and throughout then, absolutely, I would still stumble into situations. 2019, I stumbled into situations. So it's an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing process. You always have to continue to go within to identify what is truly yours, what is for you, and what has been projected onto you. And I'm not saying that to say that it's always going to be painful and ugly and all of these traumatic things of healing. No, but initially there is a great deal of trauma that one has to overcome to, especially with identifying generational curses and breaking them for the betterment of yourself and your generations to come. That is not a beautiful process at all, but it's okay. It's okay. That doesn't mean that you're supposed to avoid it. Absolutely not. It's the fact that it is that hard, and it's that intense, and it's that real, that you are more deserving of everything on the other side of that, because you took that journey of self. You went down that path that is not pretty, is not easy, but you knew that you were worth more. You were worth what's on the other side of this health, of this healing and understanding of self. So okay, going back to the people that I had to remove from my life. So I couldn't make the identification, and I certainly would not have the courage or the tactfulness, the grace and the favor, because yeah, I have not always been as graceful, as tactful, as divine. This has not always been who I am. I have absolutely been the nastiest person one could meet, just so full of ill will and toxicity, and just mad at the world, just woe is me, and all of these things. Absolutely, it was a journey to self that brought about this new beacon of light that I am. And I have always had the inner light within me, but going throughout life and situations and circumstances, it changes you. You become reactive and you adapt to certain things just to survive in life. Especially where I'm from is not a beautiful place at all. It's a lot of low vibrational activities. It was really hard. It has been hard to really maintain balance and be mostly light and loving when everything outside of me reflects low vibrational death, sicknesses, illnesses. I'm from Flint, Michigan. So there is a lot of low vibrational situations and people. I was born and raised here. So absolutely, it takes a lot of work to still alchemize above all of those things. And that's absolutely what I did. And I am a product of that. I have not always been this beacon of light and divinity. Hell no. No one is. I don't ever want anyone to think that, oh, I am so perfect, because you're not perfect. So I'm not going to preach perfection to anyone, because that perfection in humanity does not exist. So yes, going within and identifying, going within that darkness of yourself, everything that was projected onto you and everything that you projected out to people, you were going to identify and you're going to experience that to a degree as you go back within to heal those things. So yeah, and when you go back in to heal yourself, that is a process that you do alone, that should be done alone, because all the traumas and the emotions that come out when you do it alone, you know that the projection is only for you, and you're not going to project it out onto anyone else. And with doing so, you develop a level of strength, courage, and knowing. Like if I got through all of this stuff, for me personally, I did all of my healing 100% by myself. You guys can too. But if life and situations, and if your family is more conducive to your healing and your journey, then it's a beautiful thing. Absolutely use those loving connections to help you. But if you are someone like myself that had no one, you absolutely can do it all by yourself, and I can absolutely help you throughout that process as well. You will identify strength, you will identify a level of self-worth. So when it comes, like for me, towards the end of 2020, literally the last day of 2019, where I made a very significant removal of my life. And I just gracefully told them, like, this relationship is not conducive, nor has it ever been in my entire life. And now I can identify that. I wish you well, but this is the end of our relationship. There's no way in hell I would have been able to do that 4 years ago, 6 months ago. It's all about you identifying your self-worth and allowing the process to naturally unfold going forward. So yes, 2019, it was all about breaking cycles, removing things that do not serve you, whether that's situations or people or even activities. Yes, like if you're a person that like goes out, and I'm not saying anything about people who go out to the club, because I go out, I drink, I smoke weed, I do all of those things. But you have to make sure that you're not doing things that do not serve you, and do not attach your addiction to anything that you do, is what I'm trying to get to. So if you're a person that likes to go out, that's fine. You have to do everything in moderation. You like the nightlife. I love to dance. I love lights. I love mirrors. I love clubs. I love all of those things, but it's in moderations. So I'm operating at a higher frequency. You're not going to catch me in the nightlife more than you're catching me at my altar and um, acting and walking in my life purpose. And that's the duality. Like you have to have a healthy balance. Um, you have to have a healthy balance in every aspect of your life: sex, how you spend your money, what you eat, the energies you're around. You have to have that healthy balance, and you have to identify cycles, situations, and people that do not serve you and remove them. And then moving on to the last one, because it was the Nine of Wands, the Devil, and the Ten of Cups. So with doing so, the Ten of Cups, it will bring about, and that's going to bring me into the next topic of the video as well. Thank you, my divine great tribe. It just flows so beautifully, because when I'm doing this, I'm just like jotting things down. I'm like, okay, it's all over the place, but as I'm speaking it, I really jotted it down in order. So fulfillment, the Ten of Cups. So that is fulfillment, is self-love, understanding, peace, balance, harmony, love of others, new beginnings, new opportunities. Because when you're fulfilled, when you have that self-fulfillment and you're the only person that can feel yourself, that's going to be another video. It's not your counterpart, it's not your children, it's not your job, it's not a drink, it's not a nothing else. It's none of those things. It's yourself. So you will have that ultimate self-fulfillment. And when you fill yourself up with self-love, naturally everything that's inside of you is just a reflection of what you've already put in your cup. So you will be able to love and understand other people, even if they're at a lower vibration. And you, like I was able to love and understand the people that I was actively removing out of my life. You're not conducive for me anymore. I don't have to be nasty with you and tell you did this to me and I still remember this and da 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 da. You don't have to do that. You're just not conducive for me, and I wish you well, but this is the end of our relationship. This is the end of a journey for us. Even when you're leaving a job, like the day I walked out of my job, it was literally, I quit. I walked out, but I did it with grace and humility. I did like my morning rounds, but I wasn't able to get through like the breakfast segment of my job. So I called my DON and I just told him, like, I can't do this. I didn't just, oh, forget y'all, I'm out of here, da 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 da. No, I had an honest conversation with my supervisor, and I did it the most tactful way I could. Yeah, I didn't give a 2-week notice, but I did it the best way that I could. In that moment, I handled it the best way that I could. So always handle any part of your life the best way that you can. And the only way I was able to do that is because I was already so full of self-love and so full of myself that I knew the end was coming. I didn't know what day, I didn't know how, but when that moment hit, I'm like, this is it. And I wasn't scared, because I'm living from check to check just like everyone else. And so like my finances was halted, but I was okay. I had this inner peace and inner knowing that things are going to work out for me. Things always work out for me. And I didn't really identify that beautiful union with source, with spirit, universal energies, whatever you identify with outside of yourself. For me, I call them my great tribe. But I did not I would have never been able to just quit a job and just walk out on faith if I had not strengthened that relationship with a higher, with source. I would not have been able to do that the way that I did that morning. So yes, you will have that ultimate fulfillment once you remove and identify things that do not serve you. And that's just speaking to the year 2019. So for a lot of us, I know that you have been through these inner battles and cycles where you're removing people. And I know that you are starting to witness a degree of fulfillment and just like new opportunities and just a new take on life and a new approach on life. And I know that because that's how I'm feeling now after giving everything that I've journeyed through, especially 2019. So as we enter into 2020, 2020 is a powerful number. It's a powerful dynamic, but ultimately it breaks down to the number 4. And the reason I speak on numbers is because universal energies, the source, everything that's outside of this realm of existence, it's it breaks down to numerology. And that's the easiest way for me to say that without turning it into a 15-minute explanation. So everything breaks down into numerology, and that's the way that we perceive things, not necessarily words, but more of like numbers and the indicators and the cycles and the energies in which numbers carry. Um, Okay, so 2020 breaking down to the number 4, which represents love, support, and encouragement. So many more things, but ultimately those three are love, support, and encouragement from source, from the universal energies, infinite intelligence. They're offering you love, support, and encouragement. So when you see numbers like sequences like 444, 244, 411, things of that nature, when you see those things, that is the universe communicating with you, demonstrating and giving you the love and support and encouragement that you need at that time. So going forward, 2020. So that breaks down into the number 4, which is, okay, I'm getting off track. One moment, because something really just distracted me and it's getting me off track. Okay. I'm like, I cannot continue. And this computer, I need a new computer. It does not let me do any of the basic functions like pause and resume record. So, okay, 2020, breaking down to the number 4, love, support, and encouragement. But also, 2, the number 2 in itself, it speaks of balance, harmony, cooperation, consideration, love, give and take, partnerships, relationships, intuition, insight, faith, and walking in your divine life, like your divine life purpose, walking your path. And then the number 0 is an infinite number. It's of continuations. It represents like that God force, spirit, universal energies, divine infinite intelligence. That's what 1 represents. There's a continuation. It represents oneness, wholeness, fulfillment, new starts, um, strengthening the spiritual aspects of your life and of yourself. So that's what 0 represents. And then 2 is bringing into balance, into harmony. So you coupling balance, harmony, duality, walking in your life purpose with oneness and wholeness and cycles. So that's a beautiful conjunction, 2 and 0. 2020, we're in the year of balance, harmony, walking in your life path, walking your purpose, partnerships, relationships that are truly for you. Because prior to, we've been doing a lot of identifying what is not for us, what does not serve us. So as we are in the year 2020, for majority of us, and this is the beginning of the year, you absolutely can make whatever cycles in going forth in life. Absolutely, it's just not all about the year 2020. But for those of you that have really done the journey to self and done that inner work and healing, as we enter 2020, you will benefit from this year greatly, of just coming into oneness of yourself, coming into that wholeness and love of yourself and love of life, love of partnerships, that give and take, that duality, that receptivity, that inner understanding, seeing and perceiving things the way that source intends us to see and perceive, receiving opportunities, walking past, ending cycles that did not serve us, with the knowing that we are whole, that we do have balance, that we do have love and support all around us. So 2020 is a replica of that. It's a very powerful and dynamic year. It's very, this year is going to be full of abundance and opportunities and just a beautiful time for humanity as a whole. And it's just, I was making sure. I thought I was receiving a channeling. But it's just imperative that you, whatever aspect of your life that you're in, as you are in 2020, okay, here it comes. Okay, so as we are into the year of 2020, because I'm getting the energy of a lot of people are like, well, if I haven't really done the work to self, what does this year mean to me or for me? This year it holds the same opportunities and harmony for you. It is important and imperative for you to know whatever circumstance or whatever situation that you are in right now, the key to that ultimate fulfillment and harmony and balance is to remain humble, grateful, appreciative, to see situations and things the way that source intends for you to see. So if you are listening to this and you feel like things are not working out for you and life is so frustrating and you don't know when your break is coming, when your turnaround is going to come, you're just facing situations after situation where you're hitting roadblocks after roadblocks, and you're experiencing a period of your time where you're losing support and everything that you once depended on for a day-to-day basis. Understand that this is a journey that everyone has to take. You are not alone. As you listen to me, you know that I had to take the journey as well. But I am getting for some of you that are really feeling, it's just like this heaviness I have right now, kind of like a heaviness and anxiety, just not the highest vibrational emotions right now. And it is imperative, the only way that you can come out of these things is to remain humble, remain grateful, and appreciative for any level that you're at. And I know that's very frustrating to hear when you're like at rock bottom, living from paycheck to paycheck, or have no money at all. I've been there, having to go and like pawn stuff, or having to go like to a plasma center, or doing things that you wouldn't even see yourself doing just to get by. Trust and believe that I've experienced every level of life, so I understand and empathize with you completely. But it was not, and I can tell you this, me going around being mad at the world and passing judgment and just doing everything besides operating in the way that source is operating, looking at me like this is just a transit. We have you, we're sending you love, support, and encouragement through every step of your life. You have to realize that every part of your life is a transit. Even the bad parts of your life are transits, and the way that you can make that transit better and accelerate what you truly want is to remain grateful, humble, and appreciative of everything in your life. And that is not something that you can just force and fake. To do those things, you really have to mean it, and you really have to have that inner fulfillment and inner knowing that you are going to transit out of everything. So just remember to always call back onto source, whoever you pray to, whatever angels you pray to. For me, I pray to Archangel Michael a lot and Archangel Raphael and Gabriel a lot. They help me throughout life greatly, throughout my transit greatly. Also, Abraham Hicks, her teachings really was an eye opener for me, and her concepts and how to handle day to day life is has been a serving tool in my life as well. And ultimately, it comes back down to knowing that this is a journey of self, and knowing that you are not alone, even though that you may have lost your support outside of you. Spiritually, source is always with you. Universal energies, infinite intelligence is always right there with you every step of the way, guiding you through your path. They know where you are in relationship to where you want to be. They know every step that you need to take. They know steps that are beguiling to you, and they know steps that are just intended for you. If you do take a step that is beguiling, that is off your life path, that did truly not serve you, that's fine too, because with taking those beguiling steps, and that means to be off your path, to take those beguiling steps, you are going to identify even more of things that do not serve you. And it's not always going to be just like just a bad experience, just bad setbacks and experiences. As you're taking a journey off your path, you are exposing yourself to more levels of consciousness while you're doing that. So ultimately, even if you're off your path, when you come back on your path, you're going to have so much more insight, wisdom, and knowledge, simply because you've been thrown off, or you chose, or whatever, life has put you off your path so much. That absolutely is the case for me. I've been thrown off my path. I've let my heart, the kindness of my heart, take me to places and situations that I did not deserve to be. And I've had to heal and come back to my path many, many times. But it is the very reason for those things that I am so full of knowledge and insight and wisdom, because I have been off my path many times. So I can pull from any level of life and still deliver a message of divinity and hope. So even when you are off your path, know that what you think is not yours, ultimately it will help serve you and put you right back on your path, especially into the year of 2020 and going forward. Just this decade is just, it's going to be, because it's starting with 22 and 0. It's always going to be full of balance, harmony, oneness, togetherness, understanding. Just a beautiful year, a beautiful decade, if you allow it to be. So just remain grateful, remain humble, and remain appreciative for every aspect of your life. Even when you just want to scream and cry and probably punch anyone that approaches you, don't do that. Remain gracious and humble. Yeah, those were my quotes that I was getting in the end. Thank you, Spirit. So the ending quotes I have is take peaceful stance in your life. Well, not ending quotes, they were messages, and I quoted them because they were messages. Taking peaceful stance in your life and standing on your worth and identifying your self-worth and who you are. And with doing so, taking this peaceful stance in every area of your life instead of don't fight fire with fire. If you are in a situation where you're being attacked and you know you're about to give them that same reaction, that's the time to take a peaceful stance and retreat. Like, this is not, because you can feel it in your system. That's not something you want to do. You're angry, you're yelling, you're crying, your nervous system is all out of the place. Go back, come back into where source is at, because when you're going off that path, that's where all those emotions come from, because you stepping so far away from source, universal energies, infinite intelligence. They can't guide you. They're not going to dip down. Source is not going to dip down to interact in your low vibrational activities. They're going to remain at that same high vibration as a guiding point for you to get back to. So if you're dipping down and you're angry, you're not necessarily crying, you know when a situation does not serve you. You know when you're acting in a lower vibration, because your emotions are an indicator that, and that is simply an indicator that you have went somewhere where source is not going to go, and it's up to you to come back. And the only way to do that is to remain graceful, peaceful, and in balance, and to see people and situations the way that source sees people and situations, that just remain peaceful. And if it's a situation, if you have to remove those people and walk away from those situations and circumstances to remain peaceful, absolutely do that. Do not entertain anything or anyone that keeps you in a lower vibration. That's not what I'm saying at all. But when you're removing yourself from things that do not serve you, you can do it peacefully. You don't have to go out guns blazing and all of those things. You can just remove yourself tactfully and peaceful, taking a peaceful stance in life and standing on your worth. Because when you identify your worth, you're not going to give someone something that you wouldn't accept. And then absolutely manifesting your desires. Doing so will help you manifest your desires at each level of life. Whatever level you are in life, you're going to always have more desires that you want to come in fruition. And it is key for you to remain in a peaceful, harmonious stance in all areas of your life. And then lastly is seeing the bigger picture in all areas of your life. So even if it's situations that do not serve you, understand that that is something that you can transition out of, that you can alchemize yourself out of any level to a higher level, and that source is always with you in this decade 2020, full of harmony, oneness, fulfillment, breaking down to the number 4, love, support, and encouragement. There is great love for you. There has always been great love for you here in 2020, especially in the next decade. Just expect beautiful changes and turnarounds in your life, because it's time. The time is now. So I know that this message will be helpful for many. Mana, love, and light to you all. So mote it be, and I'll see you soon.